Okay, again, the questions. There was an audit done and they went through the worksheet, work instruction, and the finding was there is some deviation from the maintenance manual. Is that acceptable or not?
Deviation from maintenance manual, no, can't accept,
No, even though minor.
even though minor.
Okay, correct. Billy is correct. What happened to the organization? It was suspended for almost a few months, and I think there was some management demotion somewhere. Okay.
Okay.
So yes, you are correct. No deviation at all from the maintenance manual. Okay. What if what is the best practice when you okay? Is it required for you to have the worksheet, or you it's preferred that the maintenance personnel just use the maintenance manual?
Worksheet.
Worksheet, work instruction. Is it required? Is it better to have, not to have? Okay, you audit in a work. You audit some repair or some maintenance of a component. Then you found out that they use everything using the maintenance manual. No worksheet is used. Everything based on manual, and then just make a release. The job done according to CMM, number blah blah blah, paragraph blah blah, and they sign off. Is it acceptable?
That means they still issue Form 1.
Yeah.
But they did not use the work instruction that my worksheet.
They don't have. They don't produce worksheet. It's happening. It was a story. I just tried to share with you. It was aircraft maintenance done, and it was the work carried out purely based on manual. So the release also based on manual. Just a statement on the work card. The job has been done according to the maintenance manual. Reference number, status, everything are recorded there. But there's no step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 was not written anywhere. Is it acceptable?
No step is, I think if step 1, step 2, that one is, I think it's acceptable. As long as they can provide a work card on what actually they have done and all the record.
The record just one lump sum say the job carried out according to the maintenance manual. That's only record that you have.
No, unacceptable.
Why?
I think somewhere in 6501 they have mentioned have to have some common work card.
Okay. Okay, that's true, and but it can happen. But actually, it depends. If the job is simple, the job is simple, only required to be done by one person, then it can be acceptable. But if the job is complex, require many steps, and they maybe break a work, for example, 20 steps, step 1 to 5, and then continue 6 to 10 the next day, and done by many, there are many activities involved. You may require some other person involved doing the work. You may require to record certain things, temperature, humidity, or the top load. Then the work card is not mandatory, but it's the best for you to have the worksheet to record the flow of the work, the step of the work, to make sure it's been done, nothing is missing, and to make sure whoever doing the work is been recorded there, and to make sure any value to be recorded are written there. That is basically the worksheet is almost mandatory. For me personally, if I'm auditing that kind of work, I say they must have it. But can we raise level 1 or level 2 if they don't have it?
Again?
NCR level. Are you raising NCR level 1 or level 2 for that situation if they don't have the kind of worksheet?
Level 2.
Level 2. Why not level 1?
Well, level 1 is unless they are not following the regulation of the authority, but this is not mandatory.
Okay, correct. Anything is related to the regulation, non-compliant is level 1. Other than that, not necessary to be level 1. Correct, Julie is correct. Okay, let's me continue. I think we got one person missing. Hopefully he's joining us later. Okay, let's continue trying to go through the notes that I've given you. Some part of it has been I've explained to you. So legislation, we cover legislation, and also IQ notes, IQ annexes there we cover. Okay, let me stop. Okay, approval, DOA, POA, TSOA, AOC, MRO, ATO, CAMO. So those are approval in the aviation industry, and every one of these there is a paragraph for audit and surveillance. So audit and surveillance are required for all the approval. So you must have audit plan, okay, audit program, you must have audit plan, you must have audit report, and the best, you must have continuous improvement program. Okay. Okay. Whatever, if you become auditor, the audit activity is similar. Only the difference is the technical part. That's why if you are not expert in the area, you may bring in a colleague or someone who are expert in the area or in the subject. For example, you are doing overhauling of aircraft piston engine. So you are not exposed to, you don't have experience of piston engine. Audit process is the same. Competency, component, equipment, those are the same. Only thing, the detail. You need to bring in the guy as a technical expert or advisor to look at the detail work process. Okay, organization approval. If you go to, this is not very clear I think, but if you refer to your notes. So this initial approval process where the first part of it is under your control. We have you have to establish the organization, develop the quality management system, and then compliant adequacy audit. That's under your control. Then after you satisfy that you have done the compliant adequacy audit and you feel that your organization is complying to the requirements, then you apply to the authority, whoever authority you want to get the approval, CA Malaysia, FAA, EASA, depending on your business where you're going to make the release, and then the authority will come and audit you similar to what you have done. But if you are established, your experience, you have established yourself, they may have less, they will depend on you, they may use your internal audit program for them to audit you. Then if they satisfied, they will issue the provisional approval for Malaysia under 6501 or under most of the approval in Malaysia. You will get the provisional approval, and if not satisfied, and they go back to you, and there are NCR will be raised against you, and you have to make a correction. So the first audit, not necessarily you have to have NCR because you don't have the approval yet. So we have experience, the authority raise NCR. They raise NCR for the sake of they are recording their findings, not necessarily NCR where you need to show, to rectify. Okay, because you don't have the approval yet. Okay, for the organization approval, continuous approval, you have to continue to be approved. Once you have the initial approval, you want to continue to be approved, then you have to work on looking at your organization based on the requirement that you have complied before. For example, you are applying for 6501, and then for the continuous approval, you need to ensure you maintain compliance to 6501. And also you need to follow any update. So mean that from time to time, you have to go back to look at 6501 whether there are any changes. Okay, because sometimes when the issue changes, the effective is there and then you have basically do not comply anymore because there are changes, there are additional things put into the 6501, and then suddenly you did not realize it. So it is your responsibility to make sure you always comply to the latest 6501 or any approval requirement. And then you always work within the scope. You have given the approval, there are scope of capability, you must work within that. If you're looking for other additional capability, you need to apply for the additional capability. Normally, you have a capability listing. There's a part number, there is a component number, and there are aircraft type, aircraft model which you are approved for. Then you always work within that. If you are going beyond that, you stop, do not start it until you get the approval from the authority. Third, functional organization. Your organization must be functioning. Whatever you presented earlier, all the chart with the accountable manager, with the quality, with the production, that organization, the person should be there. Because those person are post holders, you cannot change as you like. If you change them, you have to apply for another approval as a approval for the post holder. Okay, so that is what your role, to continue the approval, to maintain the approval. So there is a chart here, you go and it's not very clear, and you look at your note. Okay, the first chart here, in-house activity monitored and conducted by QA. What you need to do to ensure your organization continually to be approved. Surveillance and audit. So you have to do continuous surveillance and audit, and you have to have audit plan, when you want to do the audit, in what area you want to do the audit, and if possible, you have the area which you have to focus more during the audit or in the audit plan. Those areas must be related to the risk, and you must do risk assessment to determine which area has higher risk, and those areas you have focused more. So audit, surveillance, you have to plan it, you have to do it, you have to do the report. Every time you do the audit, you have to do the report. You should have a report, there's a first page report to explain the whole audit, and then there also a report on each non-compliant. So it's not just issue car and then that's a report. No, you have to have a report. You issue like 10 cars, and then you have to have a report to cover the whole 10 cars, brief explanation, what you do, who's doing it, what area that you've been working on, what are the main concerns. So you have to have like a generic report. Okay. Then you go into authority. For the renewal, you have to go for the audit. Authority will come and arrange. You have to arrange with authority to audit you for the renewal. It depends with the current practice of risk-based. I'm not really sure about Malaysia. With the activity of risk-based in Europe, they will look at your organization as far as the risk, whether you have a risk organization or not risk. If you're a risk organization, they come more often, and if not, then you could be not that as frequent as they have to. So that is that's approach of risk-based. However, it's for you, you have to make sure you always up to date and maintain your audit plan. You do the audit report all up to date, then it will give you a confidence to the authority that you're really on top of the organization. I mean, you're always in control of the quality management of the organizations. Then the audit, after the audit, if they're satisfied, they will renew the approval. If not, then you have to make correction. You have to do the correction. You have to make changes, or you have to correct the situation, and then they'll get the renewal of certificate. Okay, now we always talk about audit and surveillance. So what is the purpose? So academically, this academic. If you are doing the work, you know that you can answer. But what is the purpose of audit and surveillance? Okay, we need to determine to what extent the system achieve its objective. That's why you have a quality management system. You audit and surveillance to determine how much you have achieved the objective of that quality management system. For example, in the case of 6501, how much you achieve 6501? Is there any area that you can achieve? So first. Second, conform to the requirement. So conform to regulatory requirement. Obviously 6501 is a regulation, you must conform to it. But objective, you can have something over and above. For example, your warranty claim is you're set as 2 per month, and whether you still achieve 2 per month or you sliding to 3 or 4 a month, then there is a problem. So you are comply as far regulation is comply, but objective you may not be comply. Then comply, conform the regulatory requirement, meet the customer contractual requirement. So what is in the contract? The contract could be saying that the component come to you after 20 days you release. Every component come for that customer, 20 days is the waiting time or delivery time. So that is another aspect also during the audit. And maybe you also have quality standard. You have 6501, you also AS 9100, or you also have 9101 or 9001. Then you also audit to make sure you meet the quality standards. Okay, there are two things here you need to understand. There is regulation, there is a quality. There is customer. Okay. Regulation is for you to comply, for you to be able to do the work, to have the privilege to do the work. Okay, customer is something you need to certify for you to be paid. And then the standard is something, the standard and regulation are different. The standard is something you do for you to be efficient. Okay. The regulation is something for you to do for you to be safe. Standard also, if you do and follow, you could be safe. But standard is not in the regulation. Mean that no fine, no penalty if you don't follow the standard. The worst, just take out the cert, that's all. But regulation is very crucial because first, you did not get the approval. Secondly, if you don't follow 6501, if you are violating the 6501, you could be in jail for 5 years and fined for 500,000 ringgit. So those are different between regulation, standards, and contractual agreement with your customer. So the three things as auditor, for your audit and surveillance, you must look at those three items. Maybe you restricted yourself just 6501, that's fine. You mean that you always end up having the approval. But what happened to your customer? Okay, we're talking about the whole total organization here. If you don't satisfy the customer, you don't get paid. Yes, you're still holding the approval, but you don't satisfy the customer. The long lead time, 20 days, delivery of 20 days is not regulatory requirement, but a customer requirement. So that is something for you to get paid. Last time when I was working in one company, 1 day is 45,000 USD. That was the penalty. So you miss 2 days, 90,000. 3 days, no more pay for you because company lost, because they had to pay back the customer. So that's why as audit and surveillance, you also have to look at this aspect, and you must discuss with your CEO and accountable manager how much extent that you need to look at this situation. Okay. Then competency of auditor. Okay, now we talk about competency. Competency, go back to we have discussed earlier, is about knowledge, skill and experience. So knowledge, auditor. If you audit an auditor, okay, you audit your own auditor or you qualify your own auditor. He has no training on audit. He has no training in quality management system. Do he has the knowledge to be auditor? No. And he has no experience in doing the audit itself. No audit experience. Have not done any audit training. Not competent. And added some more, no experience doing the audit. Not competent. So you must have the knowledge as an auditor. But if you you may go for specific audit training, it's fine. But if you go for ISO 9001, 9110, any standards, any quality standard, there is a portion there talking about audits. So at least if you go for 9001, there is a knowledge there you put in place for you be able to do the audit. At least to understand what is audit. Then skill you have to go to the training. Most of the training, 9001, 910, all the training, you have to do practical. Practical means there is a audit. If there is not auditing the organization physically, at least audit the document. At least you understand the aspect of how to establish the audit plan, how to write audit report, and how to conduct the audit. So normally they have a mock where there is auditee and auditor. Normally the auditee will be the instructor and you will be the auditor. So there always be a training to the point that you have to do the exercise to develop the skill. And secondly, obviously you have to do the audit yourself. Like I said, as far as I know, I was talking to a few friends at SIRIM. They said for SIRIM, if you want to be auditor, you have to do 10 audits. 10 understudy audit. Mean you have to go with another SIRIM auditor. You do yourself. He just will observe you for 10 audits, and then you can be a qualified auditor. So the auditor, be careful. The auditors that you use to audit the organization must be competent. Do not just simply put the person there and ask them to do the audit. That could be a finding against the auditor, against your organization, that you are not qualifying your auditor. Then confidentiality, this is very important. If you're auditing another agency, you must sign NDA. Okay, it's very important. Maybe you think it's not to your interest, but you have also to safeguard you, because the information may leak out, and if you don't sign it, someone leaks it out, you could be blamed as well. So they may accuse you, say, this is the guy who leaked out the information. But if you sign it, you are already binded. Say, I did not leak it out. I've signed the document. I did not leak out this one because I just signed it. I respect that decision. I respect that